Okay, working our way through risk management. Risk management. First, we planned risk management, resulting in a risk management plan. Then we identified all the risks, their sources, their categories, identified a potential owner of the risk, and then identified a potential response. Then we did qualitative risk analysis, which we provided a subjective probability of impact to prioritize the risks, some of which end up on a watch list. And we finalized the risk owners. Then in quantitative risk analysis, we used numeric probability of impact to take the highest priority risks and do real assessment on them to determine contingency reserves. Okay, now we're ready to plan risk responses, process 5 of 7. This is the process of developing options now and selecting strategies and agreeing on the overall risk exposure, as well as treating individual project risks. So in this case, we are going to now allocate resources and insert activities to make things happen. This addresses individual risks and, as I just mentioned, overall risk exposure. So effective and appropriate risk responses can minimize threats and maximize opportunities, right? And at the same time reduce that overall exposure. That's what we're looking for. Okay. There are some terms that are important to us. Fallback plans. That's something that we have to do, this plan, if the contingency plan is not effective. We call that a fallback plan. Secondary risks should be evaluated. Those are risks that develop as a direct result of implementing a risk response. And then contingency reserve, which is allocating time and cost, and we should be aware of the triggers. Okay. So now we have inputs to plan risk responses, plan risk responses. Those include the project plan. Of note would be resource and risk management plans, and of course a cost baseline, because when I implement a response, it costs money, and the contingency reserves will reflect that and are part of that cost summary. Then there are project documents, including resource assignments, right? Risk register and risk reports. Risk reports are what's going to present the current level of overall risk exposure. Okay, and it may also list individual risks, and it's going to have both then on it, as opposed to the risk register, which is largely about the individual risks. That's a distinction I wanted to make. Okay. Okay. Then we have the tools and techniques, which are many tools and techniques of plan risk responses. Expert judgment, again, we're familiar with that. Individuals or groups with a specialized knowledge. Who knows about threat responses? Who knows about opportunity strategies? Who knows about contingency reserves or overall response strategies? Those are the kind of things I would be looking for when I think of that. Okay. Then there's, of course, data gathering. Data gathering, which is from the stakeholders via interviews, which is an opportunity to promote trust and ensure their confidentiality. Interpersonal and team skills uses facilitation to help risk owners. That would be a key definition here. Facilitation to help risk owners. That's what interpersonal skills are about, and team skills in the response planning, the risk owners. Highlight there. And then there are two strategies I'd like to address in this slide, and then one more in the next. Strategies for threats and strategies for opportunities. So testable is this. There are 5 for each, and they're frankly very much the same. There is, for threats, you can escalate, avoid, transfer, mitigate, or accept. For strategies for opportunities, you can escalate, exploit, share, enhance, or accept. Notice that escalate and accept are exactly the same words for each, so you only have 3 more to memorize in the middle. Avoid is going to eliminate the threat. Okay. Exploit is its partner. For opportunity, it's going to try and increase the opportunity. To transfer is to shift the threat to a third party. For example, in car insurance, we do that. To share is its partner in an opportunity. It's going to transfer to a third party, so you might do a joint venture or a partnership with somebody. And then mitigate is to reduce the probability or impact, and to enhance is to increase the probability or impact. So it looks like a lot there. There's really there's some great balance there. Now, other tools I mentioned, contingency response strategies I mentioned, but the third strategy is for overall project risks. So for individual project risks, I have the threats and opportunities. For overall project risks, I have, again, 5 options: avoid, exploit, transfer, mitigate, or accept. And the definitions are very similar. Take a look at those. Okay. Now, because that is testable. Oh, so testable, especially on the project management certification exam. Now, in data analysis, there are 2 types: alternatives and cost-benefit analysis. Alternatives is just a simple comparison of the requirements of alternate risk responses. I have this risk response or that risk response. Which makes sense? And then there's cost-benefit analysis. So if the impact of an individual risk can be quantified in monetary terms, then the cost-effectiveness can be determined. Okay? And there's actually a ratio to help you determine the cost effectiveness. And that's the change in impact level divided by the implementation cost. That formula will tell you how cost effective a response strategy is. And then you have decision making is the final tool in plan risk responses. Okay? This is going to use multi-criteria decision making. We did talk about that back in section 8.1.2.4, so that was quality management. Refer there. So you would use some sort of decision matrix to provide an approach to establishing your key criteria, and you'd rank them and select the preferred option. Okay. Now for my outputs. Okay, so the outputs then of plan risk responses are the following. I have change requests, and this is since my plan risk response may result in further changes, that becomes an output of my planning. Project plan updates, including 5 management plans and the performance measurement baseline. Those management plans are schedule, cost, quality, resource, and procurement, and then of course the schedule baselines, or the 3 baselines. And then my project document updates, all listed on page 447. Okay? And 448. Okay, that's it for planning risk responses. Next we're going to implement and monitor. That'll be in the final lesson for this week. And I look forward to seeing you there.